guys, what's going on? It's Dr. Ganatra, and in this video, I want to talk to you about the 3 biggest moves you can make for the new year. So I think that what I'm going to go over with you, these 3 big moves, is really going to help you leverage this new year in an incredible way. So let's just jump right into it. I'm so excited to share these with you, and I think you're really going to be able to have some fun integrating these into your year, integrating these into your day. Let's just jump into it. Number 1, what is the number 1 biggest move you can make for this new year? You have to go from moving from tolerating to transitioning. Okay, so there may be things in your life right now that you're currently tolerating, that you're sticking through it, you're tolerating it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the fact of acceptance. I'm not talking about the fact that you have to accept your situation. I'm not saying negate that. You definitely have to accept where you're at, but this concept of this slow toleration of where you're at, you have to stop tolerating where you're at so you can transition to where you want to go. So many of us get into this mindset of, I just got to tolerate this job that I'm in. I just got to tolerate this relationship that I'm in. Or I just got to tolerate this situation that's in my life right now because there is no other choices and it's something I just have to tolerate right now. Now, most of the time, yeah, it may be true that you may not have a few more options at that specific time, but what you do have is that ability to transition into something more, something beyond your current situation, something beyond where you're currently at. Focus on moving from tolerating where you're at to transitioning where you want to go. When you do that, you start opening up a brand new world of opportunities, and when that mindset of, hey, you know what? Yeah, I can accept my situation, because acceptance is held as a very high spiritual virtue, right? It's a high quality and it's a great quality, and there's nothing wrong with accepting your situation. But when you move from, hey, you know what, I accept where I'm at, but that's enough. I'm not going to tolerate this now. I'm going to now transition to where I want to be. I'm going to start on that transition. I'm going to move towards it. I'm going to actually aim for it, and I'm now going to start marching towards where I want to be. So whatever it is for you, maybe for you it's your lifestyle, maybe it's a job that you're in, maybe it's something in your work life or your personal life that it's just not fitting well with you, and you're just tolerating it, and you're letting that toleration go by day by day, day by day, and that toleration is an excuse for not really wanting to make the hard move of transitioning out of it. And that's what I want you to focus on, is transition out of that toleration. Whatever you're tolerating, ask yourself, how can I transition out of this thing? How can I move towards something different that I want? And it's not okay for me to just continue to tolerate this place in my life, because I know there's more for me, and I know there's more, and that area of excellence and that avenue of more is located and it's embodied in that movement of transitioning. Number two, move from consuming content to creating it. Move from consumption in life to creation in life. So what does this mean? We are all in this web of just viral consumption. Maybe from the time we wake up in the morning, we're on our phone, there's a drip feed of content and information that's going through us, and we're consuming all this data, all this information, all these ideas and thoughts. But when you're consuming, you can't be creating. And life and great things happen in your journey when you start creating. But here's the thing, you can't create and consume at the same time. You can't be doing 2 of those things at once, because your mind, when it's in consumption mode, is almost in reactive, introspective mode, because you're actually looking at what's out there and you're consuming what's out there, and you are thinking about all these things and you're reacting to all that information that's out there, and you're really in consumption mode. When you're in consumption mode, you cannot be in creation mode. To get into that place where you're actually creating, you have to have that white space in your day. You have to have that part of your day where you're not constantly bombarded with this drip feed of information, what's the next thing I gotta do? You gotta have that blank space or that white space in your day where you actually have a place where you can think about, hey, what do I wanna create? Who am I? Where do I wanna go? And what do I wanna do in this life? Not so much what am I reacting to that's constantly coming in to my day. And it may be as simple as moving from, hey, I'm not gonna check my phone when I wake up in the morning or before I go to bed at night because I don't wanna get into that place where I'm constantly consuming. I wanna get to that place where I have a white space where I can actually now create something magnificent in my life. Create something in your day for this new year. Create something in your month. Think about the things you want to create rather than getting lost in the things that you're consuming. So you can't do both of them. You're either consuming or creating. Focus on creating. Number 3, what's the third big move you can make for the new year? Simply, and it's kind of related to that second one, which is go from information to implementation. What does this mean? Well, so many of us think we need more information, more perspective, informed consent, or information on how to do this just a little bit more before we implement. When in reality, implementation is much more powerful than information. We have a ton of information at our fingertips in front of our eyes today, but what we don't have is that initiative sometimes to implement. So move from that economy of information where you're thinking that that's just what you need. You think you need to know a little bit more, or you think you need to take that one course, or need to read that other book on the same topic before you implement. What I'm calling you out today to say is implement. After you get that information, you don't need that informed consent. Again, you don't need more information to implement. Go from that economy of information, thinking you need more information, to implementation. That's a big move. You know, when you start implementing what you already know and you start doing what you know, you're gonna find your meaning in that momentum. And it's in that meaning, in that momentum of implementing, that will start creating something magical in your life, in your year. And I really want you to sit down and focus on these 3 areas for the coming year. Think about them and just reviewing them. Really, the first one is going from that place of tolerating something that, you know what, you no longer want to stand for. It's okay to accept it, but you don't have to tolerate it. Go from toleration and move to transition, transitioning into something you want. Go from consuming information to now creating something, from consumption to creation, and finally go from consuming or taking in information or thinking you need more information to now implementing something. You know, I always think about that last one, like if you think about your dreams are encased in a block of ice, and that information is that ice. That information is that block of ice, and your dreams are inside the center of that piece of, or that block of ice. And that information, like you've heard, analysis paralysis, will keep you frozen in that block of ice. It'll keep your dreams frozen in that block of ice until you decide to spark the action of implementation. And when you start implementing, then that ice that's around your dreams, that's freezing you down, starts to melt. It starts to melt away, and that starts to, now your dreams start to go out, start to come out, because now you've implemented. The fire and the heat of implementation gets you to the point where you're starting to realize what your dreams are, realize where you want to go. So really move from that information, melt that ice, so that way you can get into the center of it where your dreams are, so you're actually now implementing. And I think if you use these 3 big moves for the new year, I think you're going to see some amazing things happening. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you liking, sharing, commenting, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here with me. A lot more to come for the new year. And as always, have an incredible day and live inspired.